Directors regular board meeting, Tuesday, November 15, 2020. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bova.
Here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
I am here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride. Here. Ms. Mongo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Thank you. First on the agenda, we seem to have a presentation by the Moss-Side Middle School. Who's up? Who do we have? Mrs. Perry, Mrs. Mangus, Mr. Yulowitz.
So we are here. I'm going to let the students introduce it. We did it's just a little short little video to kind of give you a window to what our announcements looks like a little bit. But we were invited just because we're really proud of what our kids do. I think we when we merged buildings, we weren't sure exactly what the announcements were going to look like at the middle school level, and it's really working well. So the only thing I got to make sure these speakers are on.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to thank Mrs. Warning because she came up and she saw what we were doing and she felt that a lot of people would also like to see what we're doing kind of behind the scenes.
And if I can interject, nearly a year and a half ago, whenever we were first starting this special merger over here, we had a conversation about utilization of spaces. And I happened to recognize that we had a Pennsylvania room, a historical room that was put together in the late 60s, part of homesteads that were still in the Monroeville area, and a number of different artifacts back in that room. And I thought it would be a wonderful place to have our students and our staff come up and do the morning announcements. And it really fit in very, very well. Actually, Mr. Bova did a visit as well.
Kind of looks like a fireside chat.
Yes.
And Dr. Short was kind enough to help me create a video to show to the students and give them a little bit of history behind it.
Can you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so I am Kelly Perry. I teach music and media.
Hi, I'm Steve Mangus. I teach digital fluency and occasionally a math class.
I'm Troy Yulowitz. I teach technology classes 5th, 6th, and 8th. And we're going up here to speakers here, and there we go. He wants us to choose MacBook Air. Slide to 0.
Oh, Troy, before you do that, did you share your computer audio when you shared your screen?
I thought I did, Maiko. So you said mute the microphone. You want me to stop and share again?
If you don't mind, I just want to double check that one setting.
Okay, so when I do share screen, share sound, right? Share. Should be good. My thing's muted. Mic's on. You want
Yep.
MacBook Air speakers though, right?
Yeah, MacBook Air, and then
Okay.
slide that to the left. Okay, you're good.
Okay, so I'm just going to play this quick little video the kids made that. Yeah. Can you hear it? He said you're not going to hear sound.
Can you hear it?
This one? Oh, that's good, yeah.
Okay, is it playing on the Zoom?
No, can you do one more thing? Can you hit escape?
Sure, Mike.
Can you
Cut.
hit the speaker icon?
It's right there. Gotcha.
Click the Zoom audio device. Turn that up. And then click the speaker.
You want my mic muted though, right?
Yeah, your mic should be muted.
Okay.
Good evening. Over the next few minutes, you're going to learn about the Moss-Side Middle School Morning Show.
Our purpose is to give you a brief overview of the history of this program, explain how we are currently implementing it, and our future plans.
Mrs. Perry, Mr. Mangus, and Mr. Yulowitz combine their experiences and talents to help make this special program at Moss-Side Middle School happen.
Traditionally, Gateway Middle School and Moss-Side Middle School had PA system announcements.
Both schools started exploring the idea of transitioning to video news.
As you can see from this timeline, the news evolved into different spaces and different formats.
Not only have we changed rooms and places, but the program has grown a lot.
For example, in 2014, Gateway Middle School started with 2 anchors and 2 camera crews.
We currently have 9 live anchors, 3 roving reporters, 5 camera crew members, and 3 scriptwriters.
In the 5th and 6th grade building, we started with a longer monthly format program with select students, but evolved to a daily show, and every child in the building that wanted to be an anchor could. At GMS, we went live and grew quickly to multiple cameras and live green screening.
GMS even had a visit from an SNL director who was a Gateway grad to look at our setup and get some pro advice. As you are aware, in 2021, GMS and MSMS merged buildings, and so did our morning show program. The students in 5th and 6th grade are still able to participate in special segments that are recorded ahead of time.
Some examples of these segments are This Day in History, This Person Behind Us Tuesday, Where Are We Wednesdays, and This or That Thursdays.
On Friday, our news anchors travel around our building to interview students and teachers with our questions of the week.
Since we're alive, a lot of responsibility of our current program falls on our anchors.
Yeah, I'm gonna want to share screen again. So, Micah, do I have to turn my mic back off, or?
Yeah, you can leave your mic off and leave your speakers muted.
Okay. Just making. Can you still hear me in Zoom then?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just making sure. So that was just a brief presentation. I thought you guys to actually look at what we put together would be a lot better than us trying to describe everything. So we're going to try to describe how it looks behind the scenes now as best we can. First of all, I want to go back to, we're not up there, are we? I got to go back to share my screen. Not this one. Where's the Zoom screen?
Do you have different students that are doing this?
So we have 9 anchors that rotate throughout the week. They do the main anchor desk, they'll do the weather, sports and clubs, and they each have their own schedule, and we have fill-ins for those kids that are absent, and then we have the roving reporters.
I'll talk a little bit about that. So again, you already kind of met who we are. The important part is the kids and how this whole program started. So back in 2010, like just history, we used to do the PA system announcements, probably like a lot of local school districts. Some still do that, where you have, the intercom coming on and a student, usually students or sometimes staff members giving the announcements. We did both. We used to have students come down, do the PA system, and we're like, we needed to step up to the next century here and start doing some video announcements. So we started recruiting, and it's kind of funny because we both started at kind of the same time. We had a vision in our building at Mossad Middle School at the time. I kind of led the charge. Steve and Kelly kind of led the charge at the Gateway Middle School building. They had live, just like a smaller group of students do the live news every single day. I went into it originally like it's the same thing. We did like a monthly news show. As you can see, I didn't realize this was all here. And then we were asked by someone, okay, can you do that daily? And so I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't mind giving up 2 hours of my day every day. But we started doing a daily newscast. And it was a lot of work because I did like the green screening behind it because our kids don't read as well, I guess, and on a 5th and 6th grade level, if you want to encompass everyone. So we would do it, record it a day ahead of time, then play it the next day. And so that's
Green screening?
Green screening is basically removing the background and putting a different background. And when you saw those videos, you saw the buildings and different sites behind it. So
I'm just going to take them over.
yeah. So you have a piece of a green cloth. I painted the wall in the lab green. I just wanted, and then we just you just key it. It's called keying out. You key out the green. You get rid of that green and you replace it with whatever picture you want in the background. We use iMovie. I don't know. Did you use iMovie to do yours?
Yeah.
So iMovie is very easy to do that. It's not that hard. We teach the kids how to do it, and it's something that they can do. I'm going to go back just a little bit. Is that okay?
I just wanted
to that time. I know. Thank you. That was a good suggestion. Space was a premium. Like they set up its space and Steve's going to talk a little bit more about like the space at Gateway Middle School. He was more familiar with that. I was more familiar. I just did it in the computer lab. We originally used a STEAM lab, but then I just found it was easier if I could have it right with my computers in my lab. And we just started doing it daily, and I would have a crew, like they'd get off their buses, come to me instead of reporting to homeroom, and then we record it, and then I would edit it throughout the day, and we'd play it for the whole school the next day through a YouTube link. So pretty neat. It obviously grew a lot. Gateway Middle was doing live green screening. They were, they could go a little bit further because the age of our students and plus the talent level of our kids. We've had different kids with a lot of talent go through, and it just really was polished. And you're going to learn more about the person that came and was very impressed at what they were doing at their building live.
So this isn't live the way you do it now. You say you.
So we do a mixture now, which is, I'm glad you're asking that question. So I still do my segments, and the reason, the nice part about mine is, so I teach 5th and 6th grade. I see all the students in all the building, in an entire building throughout the year. I see them quarterly. So I just ask kids that I'm seeing directly who wants to be on the news. I do a Google form, and they just sign up. So if you don't want to do it, they don't do it. But if you want to go on the news, that's your opportunity, and it's a good chance to kind of try it out. Like if they want to show interest in being on the news someday. Some of them just come in and they're really uncomfortable reading, but the advantage of me is I could just say, okay, let's do that again. Take 3, take 4, take 5. You don't see that live. So we still do those little segments every day. We do the daily. We do a Tuesday trivia question. We do a Monday funnies. We do the Wednesday where are we in the world. We do a this day in history every single day because I think it's part of like incidental learning. You're just sprinkling this learning in a little bit, and hopefully the kids will retain some of their knowledge about the world. Like it's amazing when we do this. Like where in the world are you? Like okay. Tomorrow, just a sneak peek, it's Wednesday, it's Canada. You'd be surprised how many of our students don't know where Canada is. So when they see that, they're like, oh, that's that country right above us. But then they learn a couple facts about it, like it's the 2nd largest in land area country in the world. Like it's little things that we kind of sprinkle in. Into the news that way. And then Thursday, we kind of take a break. We do a this or that question. So we take the microphones out to the audience. You do a little this or that, and then we do a question in a week where we ask them like random questions. Like it's getting close to Thanksgiving, so like this Friday's question we asked last Friday. We recorded them. What are you thankful for? So like this and that question was turkey. We're trying to keep it fun for the kids. Turkey or dressing. Turkey or stuffing. What do you like? So.
Let me ask you a question real quick here. Seeing the timeline and the progression of technology that has been utilized going back to the archaic years and even up to where we're at in 2022, where do you see this projecting 3 years from now, knowing that we're going to be over at Gateway Middle School in a newly renovated program?
Well, we definitely don't want to stay status quo. Like, we're looking for growth. That's actually part of our presentation, so I don't want to step on Kelly's shows. So you're a great question. But yeah, we're obviously going to change, modify. We want it to get better every year. That's our goal. Making classes out of this, and she'll talk more about that. But I'm going to step on her toes if I talk too much more, so I'm going to let Steve take over.
Answer that question?
You can have.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. We've had some kids create stuff. That's one of the future things that Mrs. Perry will talk about. These are some of the different backgrounds we use when you mentioned green screening. You have to have some type of background to it. So we've had students create backgrounds for this as well. Even recently, we have one of our person who runs, which I'll show you in a minute here, who runs the camera operations. He made us a new introduction, which is kind of nice because I spend a lot of time doing the introductions myself, but this young man actually came up with something a lot better than what I would have come up with. But here's how we started out. So Gateway Middle School, I mentioned Dr. Stanford. He called me up one day after leaving Gateway, and he mentioned a local school that's a little bit less than Gateway, and he said, hey, they're doing live morning announcements. If they can do it, you guys can do it. And so we had just a simple webcam and a junk microphone I found in a closet and an old, I think it might have been a CFF laptop. I'm not sure, but it was certainly an old laptop. And I just Googled. A lot of people think like he has and I have like this really superb technology expertise, but Google's just really all that I use. So I just Googled like how to live stream on YouTube. And so I got the directions and we started live streaming right away. We started out in the GMS LGI, if you recall that, and I would just drop the screen down like this, put a background on the back of it, and we just live streamed it. It was kind of crappy looking, but it served its purpose. And then actually, Dr. Stanford, he painted this. This was his. He went to a local carpet place and asked if they had any old pieces of linoleum for the floor, and he flipped it over and painted it with the chroma key paint. And then we had maintenance hang it originally in the LGI. Then we moved this. This is actually, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Short, I think this is where all the electrical equipment it is now at the current Gateway Middle School. So this is all filled with breaker boxes and everything now. But we got into this room. We ended up still with one camera. We have a young man running what's called OBS, which is a pretty popular freeware to do streaming. And then we have a young, actually I think that's Mrs. Cerrucci's son right here. And I believe he would run and they would switch off the what's that called?
The teleprompter.
Teleprompter, thank you, yeah. And so we evolved from that, and then we had maintenance come in, and they put in drywall all on this back wall and along this side wall. And then I grabbed another webcam, and we started doing like the main anchors here and the weather and sports on this one other side, which is kind of where we are now in the PA room. So the PA room, we've actually repurposed some technology from the high school. Mr. Brown, Micah Brown, he had some technology up there that he wanted us to try to test out. And so now we have a whole new camera machine and streaming box right here. We could connect 5, 6, 7 cameras if we wanted to and flip between each camera. We have our computer hooked up to it so we can do the videos that Mr. Ulowitz talked about. If I don't drop Brian's name like 100 times, he won't be happy. But we then have that computer here that runs our intros, special segments, voiceovers, all of that stuff that you would see like in an actual authentic news production or news site. And then we have somebody over here running the teleprompter, and then you can see the cameras. We just got ring lights this year, so things are a little bit brighter. And it's really kind of cool because the kids get to experience it. Just that nostalgia of that room up there, and that's I actually used it. Mr. Jack wanted us to make videos for open house, so I recorded mine up there because I figured you can't get enough publicity from that room. But we really have come a long way from a simple junky $20 webcam to a machine that allows us to use multiple cameras pretty effectively. And the streaming has come a long way. We didn't do the green screening anymore because I had trouble getting the quality of the person, and then not looking all weird looking and almost like it looked kind of ghost-like. It was kind of odd looking. But I'm going to what's that?
That is student inviting.
Yeah, so I'm going to let Mrs. Perry take over, and she's going to she's going to answer Dr. Short's question about the future and just some of the cool experiences that the kids have been able to have with being a part of this program.
So as we look ahead and working into getting into our new building, which we're very excited about, there is a room specially designed for us. We're going to have a recording studio. And coming from the small LGI, and for 2 years we were in a single practice room where we actually had to take half of the equipment out into the hallway in order for the kids to be able to go in and record. So looking ahead, we are looking at other school districts, high schools, not middle schools, as to what they are doing in order to be able to create a news show. We were very lucky a few years ago to be able to actually have an ungraded class during lunchtime. The kids would come down during lunch into the computer lab, and they would create a lot of what Mr. Ulowitz has been wonderful enough to create now with his students, but it was the students doing it. And that's really where we want to go with this. This year we've been so lucky to have an 8th grader, Naya, who is our director. And that's what we want to have happen. We are the guides on the side, as it were, where the kids are doing the work. We started getting script writers 2 years ago, and with me kind of pushing them, and with Mr. Mangus encouraging the kids behind the camera, we want to let them do all the work, and we're just their resource. So with them directing it, them taking charge, them doing the creations, that it becomes their product and not ours. And so, you know, with the technology, as that grows, and, you know, who knows what the technology is going to be like 6 months from now, let alone a year from now, because it just changes constantly. And so when new stuff comes out, we take a look at it, we try something new, but it's really all about what the kids are doing. So we get into this new studio, and we want to be able to let the kids create and construct new wonderful things. That is our goal. So if we can have a class like we did a few years ago, where it's not just them coming down at lunchtime and making all those wonderful things, but actually having a true classroom situation where we can train and guide these kids into, you know, something that they might do as a career. That'd be fabulous. But even if it's just something as a hobby, again, just as fabulous. And so some of the experiences we've been able to bring to Gateway in order for them to see what is possible. Don King from Saturday Night Live, who is a Gateway grad, he came into our building when we were over at Gateway Middle. He talked to our students, and he looked at our setup, and he was floored that what we were doing was on such a grand scale for such little amount of technology. And so to hear that from a professional, I was,
Can I interrupt?
yeah, go ahead.
No, I remember him saying that Lorne Michaels has a tendency to use old technology, and some of what we had was more superior than what Saturday Night Live had. And so he said Lorne's a very old school kind of person when it comes to their production. Not that it's a bad production, Saturday Night Live, but he was very impressed with the age of the kids and what they were producing at our level. And that I won't forget that. That was one of the highlights of my career.
Have you taken any of the kids on a field trip to one of the studios?
Are you psychic? So, yeah, before the pandemic, we were able to take the kids to WTAE. We have since tried to do so again. We even asked if we could have a camera person or an anchor come out and talk to the kids, but because of their guidelines, that has not been able to happen recently, but that is definitely something that we want to do again.
Okay.
Have you thought about it? Do you guys still do Explorer posts where someone that, you ever heard of an Explorer's post? Someone that works in a particular industry, they come in and it's like a
Shadow.
like a club, and it's like a shadow, yeah. So I was just wondering.
That would be something great, you know, with someone who is in the industry to be able to come and talk to the kids and.
Regular, yeah.
Yeah,
Be
we
a
would love that.
resource.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, there's a KDKA reporter that's a Gateway grad. To reach out to Ms. Barrasso, I'm sure she'd be happy to.
She reaches out to them.
Just a few minutes ago, in fact, so that would be great.
Now, do they have this up to high school too?
Gonna ask that.
Unfortunately, they do not. At one time, they had a great program up there, but when I believe the pandemic hit and they went to just, and they couldn't do that every day. Like what we did was we recorded from home, and we have some great teachers that were very kind enough to record ahead of time from their homes, and Mr. Mangus would put things together and send those out on, was it bi-weekly, weekly basis? Like it was like Tuesdays, Thursdays, or?
Something, I think.
Yeah, so instead of doing it every day, we just did it twice a week. And the teachers helped with that. We were able to get some students to do that, but there were some connectivity issues. So it was really teachers that took the charge on that. So thank you, Gateway Middle School teachers. But
So when the kids finish middle school, they're done with this because we have no,
Stepping stone.
right, nothing going on at the high school for them. We don't have the setup, we don't have the studio, we don't have anything, yes?
Next to you.
I don't know what he's doing, he's behind me, I'm, what?
but
We've had those conversations with Mr. Stevens, also Mr. Starkunis, and a few other faculty members. The Media Center Library, we're looking at converting into a television studio because part of the issue was when we renovated the area that was the former television studio, it now became the esports room. So as far as planning for summer projects, which of course we'll be coming to the board for, would be to revamp the current library media center into a television studio that will include also an area for podcasting as well.
fabulous.
Okay.
So, did you have any other questions?
I think it's phenomenal, these kids. Just giving them that opportunity.
Exciting seeing the kids walk by every day and the staff and
Yeah,
seeing the
everyone should
production.
stop by the way, in the morning when they do it. It's pretty cool to watch them, watch their production, watch how they work. It's pretty neat.
You know, it's a motivator.
Not all of you, one at a time. It's very crowded.
It's small in there. We couldn't fit
Call me first,
everybody.
I'll see if I can get you in.
Around what time, if we did want to come through at some point, what time would be a good time?
So we go live at 8:16 every morning. So, come on up.
So live means live within the school.
So what happens is we are on YouTube Live. So anybody can watch it on our YouTube channel. And we send that out to the classrooms. So all of the classroom teachers will, on their, whether it's through their Apple TV or on their computers, will bring up the YouTube channel, and the kids watch our news show every morning in the classrooms.
Now, is there like a delay, like a 5?
30
Is
seconds.
that what it is?
That's not for kind of foul language, just, that's the way it is. That's just how it works. The way it gets sent from our device through the World Wide Web, it eventually, it's about a 30-second delay.
Okay.
But you said you can see it live. Sorry, I'm trying to fix your laptop dying behind us here. But yeah, it's like the students are really, I mean, Naya is like, Dr. Short watched, or not, was it Dr. Short watched Naya in charge the one day, and so you'll see her name somewhere out there in the world. I'm telling you, she's a phenomenal student.
Yes, she is.
And
Wonderful. Any more questions?
And the students audition for, I saw something on there that said about
Right,
audition.
so in 5th and 6th grade with Mr. Ulowitz, they have the opportunity to do the pre-recorded if they want to. And then for the live, because we need students that are able to do things very quickly, off the cuff, and improv if needed, there is an audition process for that. We do that in the spring, so that way, at the end of the school year, we can bring some of those new students in and get them acclimated so that we can start running on the first day of school in the fall.
Okay.
And just to those people watching at home, Mr. Ulowitz has a wonderful sense of humor. He was kidding about the 5th and 6th graders who can't read and can't find Canada. That was a complete joke. He didn't mean that. They know exactly where it is. They can spell it. He was kidding.
It definitely helps. And like I said, so I just want to make sure that it's clear. So the recordings that we make, they just press a button and it goes and plays that recording in the live newscast. So you see those pre-recorded news as part of, kind of like the same way a newscast, a regular news would do it. When they have a special segment, they just press a button and they press a button right back. So it's really like the blend of best of both worlds, I think. So it's really nice.
Well, thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you for giving them the opportunity.
thank you.
Thanks. What they did.
So let's move on to comments from residents on agenda items. Do we have anybody?
Sign up.
Nope,
This is Mike. I imagine there's our plug in.
that's it. You're representing the community. Do your, perfect person to do it. All right, we're gonna get to our little board member discussion items. Anybody want to go? We got anything tonight? Nobody?
Sorry.
Don't be sorry, Mr. Williams, you're doing the best you can. Okay, then we're gonna move on to, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, I did have one quick thing, my bad. I have one of our wonderful residents, I'll say his name, Martin Galia from Pitcairn, you know, an alum. He was watching our last week's meeting and suggested that as part of Dr. Kane's outreach and other outreach, we might want to think of trying to reach out to recent alumni as we try to find ways of doing what we do better. Maybe with a little bit of space between here and where they are now, they might be able to offer some insight into what we could do better. So, alumni out there, whoever, you know, any of your kids, if they have any thoughts, have them email one of us, and maybe we can learn something. All right, Martin, I've done what I can for you. Let's move on to minutes of previous meetings. Anyone want to say something? Scotty, help us out.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of study session, regular board meeting, Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, and special board meeting November 1st.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Nope. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
What is this?
Barry, can we help you?
Indiana Jones, what's happening?
Bad power for the laptop.
All right, thank you.
Introduce yourself, Barry.
I'm Barry Podunabak. I am the longest-standing IT support member in the school district and lowest ranked.
Oh, congratulations. Congrats.
For those of you on the call and meeting, the laptop in the boardroom, its battery died. We are trying to get it back online. Please stand by. The laptop is powering back up. You should be reconnected in about 1 minute.
Agenda with that not conclude. So we can follow up on that tomorrow.
Do we want to remove that item until we get a dollar amount?
Seems sensible. Otherwise would be.
Yes.
So we can just remove that.
Yes. So we'll be scratching as the assistant swim coach at this point. We'll be coming back in December and adding that.
Okay.
Will the assistant swim coach be able to assistant swim coach without having been hired? In other words, there are two assistant coaches. One is the swim coach, one is an assistant diving coach. The swim coach actually is Dan Little, and this is his sister, Alyssa Little Keebler, who's an assistant.
We have Mr. Hall on. Do you have any information?
Sorry, I was having some audio difficulties, but I just caught the very end of that question.
And there are two assistant swim and diving coaches who are not yet approved by the board.
Do you have any information on that?
Yes, the process requires that obviously we get the all of their paperwork to our human resource department. They're allowed to be around our student athletes once human resources is in possession of their clearances. But in order to fully be approved by the board, we ask them to be completely paperwork, complete with all the other requirements that are required by the district. So we're sort of in between those two landmark points.
That's what I'm gonna ask. Don, do you happen to have the number for Ms. Keebler?
The proposed salary supplemental.
I am actually in my vehicle. I can rally and pull it up on my Google Drive here, hopefully through the magic of technology.
Do we have any other questions?
So I do, for like number 8, the never mind, I've already, I canceled.
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions while Coach Hall finds the salary? Nope. So I guess we can't approve it pending a salary or anything else, right?
Why don't we just jump ahead and come back to this and give Dawn a minute or two to find it?
I appreciate that.
And the motion's been seconded, so, I mean, I hate the whole Robert's Rules of Order thing, but what do we do?
We could proceed with the elimination of that. This individual would be okay. I'll check clearances to resume coaching or commence coaching, and then we will add it on to the second.
Well, that works then. Fine.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just if I could chime in on that, certainly the idea is to get the coach, involved with the student athletes. And once we're comfortable with the clearances, we can do that. The other is more a requirement for formal board approval, which ultimately just means to get them paid when the pay is due. So the key part will be, again, making sure we have the clearances. And if that's the case, those coaches can be with the student athletes prior to the next board meeting. Hope that makes sense, everybody.
Yes. All right, roll call, Bonnie.
Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Ms. Mungo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Dr. Singh.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
And Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Thank you. Section E, conferences, Dr. Chaky.
Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves and authorizes the following conference. There's one conference listed that was added after the study session for Karen Montgomery to attend the Pennsylvania School Counselors Association Conference.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that? I'm sorry, our solicitor's yelling at me about something I forgot. Are there any questions on that? Nope. We'll call it.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Ms. Mungo. Aye. Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Dr. Singh.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Bova.
Aye.
And Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Section F, administrative report, elementary education, Dr. Rossi.
Item number one, motion to approve the agreement with Residence Education for second semester professional development services. Mike.
Item two, approval of change orders Gateway Middle School renovation project, construction fund for 22-23 fiscal year. Approve the following change orders for Shipley Plumbing and Licarius Construction Company as depicted below. Total net change orders $107,899.62. Note, including the total of change orders detailed above, the grand total of all net change orders school board approved for the Gateway Middle School renovation project is $2,237,815.14. Item three, approval of the affiliation agreement with the University of Pittsburgh School of Social Work. Item four, acceptance of district donations received from Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in the amount of $1,500 to benefit the students of Cleveland Stewart Elementary School. Item five, Michael, do you have a live picture for us?
I do. Give me a few seconds.
I'd like to show the viewing audience or school board picture of the renovation work behind Gateway High School for the north entrance. Again, this would be replacing what is known as the loading dock by the dumpsters entrance.
Thank you, Michael. Item five, approve the bid for the construction project at the Gateway High School north entrance. Funds coming from the fund balance general fund for the 22-23 fiscal year. Award the bid of the construction of the Gateway High School north entrance project to Santa Maria Landscaping and Cement Company for a total of $277,262.50. The project is designed to make the north entrance more accessible with a new concrete ramp, stairs, metal railing, and a new metal canopy roof.
What happened to the dumpsters?
We're going to leave those right where they are, Dr. Singh. We're just going to walk into the building farther away from them. But we're going to.
Item 6.
That's a funny guy.
Approval of the continued membership in the Allegheny Intermediate Number 3 Joint Purchasing Program for the 23-24 fiscal year. And item 7, acceptance of the district donation received from University Park staff for wearing jeans, the amount of $525 cash to benefit the backpack program.
That motion has been made and seconded. Start with the questions, please, Ms. Warner.
Thank you.
Just a guess.
Yeah, I got it. Number 2, the additional, I'm going to say what? The last 2 things with the Lion Acres Construction Company. These just came up since our last meeting.
Yes.
What kind of steel posts or openings did they plan on?
Here's what I got from former yesterday. The rooftop units that are in the HVAC units, they were going to use the existing steel, but once they got into the project, it wasn't strong enough to hold the roof, the units up, or so they had to get a different, basically buy more steel to support it instead of using what was there.
So they didn't know that when they started.
No, they probably wouldn't have no way of knowing it until they got into tearing it apart.
Into the project and tear it apart.
Yeah.
So we're just looking into D and F additions. Could you explain where those additions are? Is that the ones coming out or the D and F additions?
Well, here, and I'll read this. It says PCOs 32 and 33 are changes resulting from field conditions exposed after demolition. PCO 32 adds 2 short steel posts at the east entrance. PCO 33 modifies new window openings to be created for new aerobics and weight room. PCO 35 is the cost to replace construction phase fire extinguishers that were discharged during the last vandalism occurrence Memorial Day weekend.
And PCO means proposed change order?
Yes.
They have that installation of new gas line, and we have one price set for the gas line, or is this an additional new gas line? What?
This was an additional new gas line that had to extend across the building instead of just into the front of the building.
And that was determined that that's something that needed to be done.
Through code.
Right.
Okay, question also. Now I'm going to go number 5 with the north entrance. I had reached out to Mr. Brown, Miko, regarding anything else that could possibly be needed on this. Let me put this up here real quick. I had asked him about the possibility of cameras,
Card swipes.
the swipes, everything like that, here. Miko, you're on?
I am, yes.
Okay, I'm just going to reiterate what you had sent me here. Miko is saying that there is going to be additional costs for the access control hardware for the door is going to be about $4,000, which includes the swipe, a keypad, a camera, and intercom. This is not including the locking hardware, which Mr. Bob Brown will be providing as part of the door, but there will be some minimal cost for that. Cameras, for some of which are required for the entrance and some are just more needed for a scheduled replacement. They're going to run around $2,000, and new exterior cameras for that entrance are going to be about $4,000. So that's going to be another $10,000 right there in abundance to the $277,000. Is there the loading dock that we currently have? Now, that is used by the cafeteria to bring in their food, their deliveries. What's going to happen with that? The loading dock that's there now.
Going to remain.
So we'll have 2 loading docks. Are we going to have like loading dock?
Well, the thing we just saw isn't a loading dock.
That's the entrance, but I mean, it's the ramp that's going in. We're still going to be using that other loading dock.
Correct, the original loading dock.
As a loading dock.
As a loading dock.
And the dumpster's going to stay there.
Okay.
That's gonna be my question, where the dumpsters going?
is there any way to bring this total down? I mean, we are right.
That total did come down from the original due to the fact that they were going with an aluminum build instead of a steel.
That's right.
That's on the roof, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're still looking at, I know there's going to be a bathroom put in there. Are the charges for that included anywhere? Mr. Zarellis, there's a bathroom that's going to be also installed there. So there's going to be plumbing, there's going to be,
So this bathroom you're talking about, is it in the plans now? Is there a bathroom in the plans?
There's currently a men's room
Right
on
off
the
of the
corner,
house.
yes. That is due to be renovated, as are the others that are remaining at Gateway High School. If you noticed, if you've been up there, we've done some incredible work in-house and also outsourcing. But in this area, there is a plan for a women's restroom due to the nature of the entrance and the use of the entrance. So yes, there will be at one point, yes.
so there will be additional expenses on that then?
Yes.
Have we started anything on this?
I didn't hear that.
What was that? Have we what, Mrs. Cerrucci?
Did we start any of the demolition to make preparations for this?
Say it again.
No, we have not started, nothing has started. I've just been told by Dr. Short.
We've done some interior
Thank you.
in the classroom that used to be there, yes. So we're just awaiting the okay from this and then the purchasing of the steel and then the concrete work.
I'm just going to say, they started working on this room at the end of the school year last year. That was where I had the backpack program, and the one big room is now broken into like 3 different areas. There's like storage on both sides, and then you have, I guess, the hallway that's going to be coming in. So my concern is, I thought everything was already set to go and this stuff was going to be moving along. And here we are, November, and we still don't have the approval of anything. So, I mean, nothing can be done, but I just feel this is an awful lot of money.
So, right, it is a lot of money. We have, the district has sort of been ignoring this for literally decades. You know, there's everyone, when we have an event that requires us to use the LGI, not only is it aesthetically unsatisfying,
it's not accessible.
When someone needs to actually get in and access it, they have to wind their way through the school.
And have a custodian meet the individual to get in the building.
We have certainly done some things that one could describe as luxuries as it relates to our athletic complexes, as perhaps even as it relates to the new school. But this one seems like it's long overdue, and the only, I mean, if it had been done 20 years ago or 10 years ago, the cost would be dramatically less than $277,000. If we wait another year or 2 or 3, it'll be $300 and then $310. And
we had those conversations internally with contractors about possibly rebidding this, redesigning, rebidding, and the cost would be exorbitant at this point. And that came from both the architect and Foreman Construction. Similar
I
to
think it's a real problem that it's not ADA compliant right now.
I do too.
to the
I think-
lockers that we had a
I think that's a
conversation.
problem.
Absolutely.
yeah, again, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it simply has to be done, and the cost, anything that we spend hurts. But there's no way around this one. You know, the fact that we've been getting by this long the way we do is not only just embarrassing, it's borderline illegal. So.
For the viewing public, the data provided even by Mr. Brown here, Myco, indicates that loading dock door is the #1 used door in the entire district. #1 from students, faculty, parents. And is that what we want our community to walk into? as far as a building with the
Big
presence.
scheme of things, it's really,
No, it's embarrassing.
it's not like your house, you know, it's pretty basic there.
Do we have a projected start time and finish time?
Once this is approved, we have to order the materials, and then at that point, I don't have that information.
And then when do you anticipate coming back with the cost of the bathrooms? Is that something you're looking at?
We'll come back to the board on that as well.
In this year, in this 22-23 school year, or something looking at summer renovation?
I have to talk to Mr. Brown.
Okay, I was just,
We have a lot of projects going on in this district, a lot of projects.
Right, and so that's painful because we're spending the people's money, but some of these things like this, by my reckonings, is unavoidable, and if in the course of the project we can save some money here or there, fine. We can discuss the restroom further, I guess. The restroom, you could guess how much a restroom is going to cost, and maybe everyone can go over and take a look at where the other restrooms are, whether, we need it or not, but.
That one on the corner is retro 1958, if anybody wants to go up there and take a look.
I've used it before. I was most pleased with its performance.
isn't the ladies' restroom like way down by the band rooms from the LGI?
Exactly.
It's not up, okay.
Where do they propose to put the ladies' room?
I don't have the exact location, but it is in that area next to what was formerly Mr. Perriotta's room, I believe,
Perfect.
in his office area.
Any other questions on this or anything else in this section? Nope. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci?
Aye.
And Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
That's always fun. Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to resolutions, right?
Resolutions presented by board members. Dr. Singh, can we go from there?
So I humbly stated last week about importance of Diwali in our community, and I would propose a resolution today. Resolution declaring Diwali a gateway school district school holiday starting 2023-2024 school year. The Friday after Thanksgiving holiday for Diwali holiday in the gateway school calendar. So we swapped the Friday after Thanksgiving holiday as named as Diwali holiday.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any questions on this motion?
I would like to table this to get more of additional input from community members. I had reached out to Rabbi Simon to discuss this because of the ministerium that she is involved with the other religious groups. Nothing against Dr. Singh, but I don't want to show favoritism or something to one religion and not the other. So she will be getting in touch with me.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Well, a motion has been made and seconded to table this resolution. And if I'm remembering Ms. Cerucci, well, that means we go right to a roll call. Not allowed to discuss this.
That's correct, Mr. Bova. There's no discussion.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Dr. Singh?
So I means to table, I'm against it.
No. Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
No.
Mrs. Cerucci?
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
No.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Jack, just a point of discussion before we move on to this. Last week, we brought up this proposed resolution, and then we mentioned that the comments could come from the public two different ways, Gateway School, Gateway Underbar schoolboard@gatewayk12.org, or go to the main website and offer comments. Have any board members received any comments from residents on this yet? I have not. Does anyone else?
No.
All right, so again, folks from the public, please go ahead and weigh in. Your school board is hoping to hear from you on this. Thank you very much.
All righty, let's move on to comments from residents on non-agenda items. Ma'am?
Kelly Matrazo. I know you all received my email, and I just wanted to see if there was any follow-up or information that you can provide.
Don't want to do so publicly, but I will be in contact with you tomorrow. Absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Nothing else? Get up there and talk. Okay, and move on to reports, superintendent's report.
To our community out there, Monroeville and Pitcairn, please be aware that we will be issuing some guidance for the upcoming winter season with closures, delays, FID days. So be on the lookout for that within the next couple days. We did have some wintry blasts today that kind of caught us all off guard, but there were no issues that we were aware of. I did talk to Mrs. Isha about busing as well. So thank you. That's it.
Thanks, sir. We'll move on to board committee reports. Start at this end. Ms. McBride.
I have none.
Bless you. Ms. Warning.
Yes, I just want to thank our presenters this evening, Mrs. Perry, Mr. Mangus, and Mr. Yolowitz, for just enlightening us on what the students are doing, and thank you for your time and all that. And I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and a safe one, and we'll be back in December.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Delaney.
You know what, I probably should have mentioned this sooner. This probably would have been, I was looking at the weekly board packet, and I just had a question for Dr. Chaky, and I was just curious about if he could tell us what the Gateway High School student feedback session was about.
Sure. We just want to make sure that, we do a lot of planning at admin and with teachers. We just wanted to make sure that we get the student voice as we move forward with some of the things that we're incorporating. So we're going to cycle through all of the students. Well, we'd love to get to all of the students, but we're going to get to as many students as possible and sit with them, talk about some initiatives, some of the things that we asked them, just some sample questions to begin. We asked them some open-ended items, which mentioned things like, what do you like about Gateway High School? What are we doing well? We also asked them questions such as, if you were going to give advice to an incoming ninth grade student, what would you tell them?
I'd like to hear that.
We also asked them on a Likert scale, because sometimes, we had a great group of kids, but sometimes it's like pulling teeth, I know with my own son, to get some information from them. So we put together a Likert scale too, where we posed a statement and we said strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. And we posed the question, at Gateway High School, students are treated fairly and equally. And we got some feedback around that. We also asked the question, Gateway High School is a safe and secure learning environment. And we got some information around that as well. We were highly impressed with the students we met with. I mean, it was unbelievable how well-spoken they were, how articulate, just some of the great things that we talked about with them. It was really good experience. So we want to roll this out and continue doing this. We've done this through the equity work with teachers, had an opportunity to meet with a lot of teachers to gain feedback. We're thinking that probably to sustain it and to reach as more kids as possible, we'll probably try to cycle through some of the study halls.
Okay.
We'll show up and we'll pose some of the same questions, but we took a lot of notes and we're anxious to share that with everyone.
And in that same packet where you had the equitable leadership, was that done during the professional, last Tuesday?
No, that wasn't district professional development. That's professional development that I've been attending with Dr. Nicole Holland Smith. She was the individual that used to work for PDE that did that district-wide training for all of us a couple years back. I've been attending her sessions.
Oh, okay. And the new teacher induction that was held this week, how many teachers did you have to have involved in that, new teacher?
Overall, 10 to 12, but what we do is we go to each level. We'll go to the elementary schools, then to the middle schools and high schools. And that's centered around framework, Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching. We also do some safety initiatives through that, talking about Alice drills. We also incorporate equity, some of the culturally responsive pedagogy, and we also let them become familiar with the framework that myself and Guy put together that shows the different alignment between CRP and Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching. So that's been a really good session.
I just wanted to also thank Mr. Sean Whalen's History Club for a wonderful program that they did for Veterans Day up at the high school, those that were able to attend. The students that participated, and I thought it was a very well-organized program with the individuals, staff members who were in the military, and I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that and we got credit for that because it was a very good program, those that were able to attend. And also on this Thursday is Children's Grief Awareness Day, and we are to wear blue. I think some of you may have seen that, well, yesterday was the last day, Miss Tortorella, who was actually, I think she spearheaded the program, and when we talk about Children's Grief Awareness Day, it's always observed on the third Thursday in November, the Thursday before Thanksgiving. And this day is focused on bringing to mind the children all around us who have experienced the death of a loved one, children who often feel very alone in their journey of grief that they travel. And so at Gateway, we have many parents, she says, who have lost a parent or a sibling. And in order for us to show that support, and the caring team asks that you wear blue on this Thursday. So I thought that was and they also had a cookie drive, but that was supposed to be, you're supposed to let them know Monday. But she might take it if you still call her. And along those same lines, as I'm wishing everyone is going to have a very safe Thanksgiving and a wonderful Thanksgiving in giving thanks, I had read an article, and it was a little disturbing. It says, what is Thanksgiving to indigenous people? And they consider it a day of mourning. And as I looked at several articles on the websites, because they said Thanksgiving represents the dark shadow of genocide, but the resilience of Native people. I look at it as a day of gratitude in many ways, not just as the standpoint of how we initially were celebrating it many years ago, but many tribes do not see it in that same way. They use it as a time, too, that they exchange prayers and stories and the rich oral history of our Native Americans, which I thought was very meaningful to see. And yesterday, on the 14th of November 1960, a little girl named Ruby Bridges was the first African-American child to desegregate the all-white William Franks Elementary School in Louisiana during the New Orleans school desegregation crisis. So, and she was 6 years old, and there have been stories and books in the library if you just want to share even that with families and all. The young ones that may want to learn about it, because there is a child's book that does discuss that. And that's all I have. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, ma'am. Move over to Ms. Mungo.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, in the board packet, Bill, you wrote about, I think it's Act 55 with the career and technology kids. Can you just explain that to everybody?
Yes, as part of the efforts of PDE and the state, they want to make sure that the scores are recorded on the student transcript. So that does impact our graduating class of 2023. Notified, of course, Dr. Chaky and Principal Stevens and counselors that they will be adding the scores from the vocational school onto the transcript.
Yeah, the superintendent at the vocational school asked that we bring that up and make sure it gets done.
Yep.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Dr. Singh?
So, thank you on last board meeting, all of you who listened me patiently. And I respect the board's decision. And I'm not losing sleep over it. And I had my good nap today. Thank you.
Mr. Ritter?
Sure, 8 things. Just a reminder that the PSBA held its delegate assembly and it came out with its 2023-2024 battle plan. That's supposed to be published any day now, so board members keep an eye open for that. You can read it, see which legislative direction our PSBA is going to head towards. Number 2, just a reminder that I'm going to do a backgrounder on electric buses. The Southwest Regional Transportation Committee held a backgrounder about what is an electric bus, what's it do, what are its pros and cons. Someone put together a presentation for our board. We'll do that sometime when we have a quiet month. Another one is to do for me, generate a collection of areas of possible interest for a proposed communication staff member. So we could build a battle plan for a communications director to figure out whether we want this role to be large or small, part-time, 1 hour a week, 40 hours a week, whatever. Just lay all the cards on the table, mold together what our media outreach battle plan might be, and then hire someone appropriately. Next, the Intergovernmental Committee's tasks. We're working on the Ramsey fence and an SRO, so we'll await a report when we get some more information on that. Next up, I've been working pretty hard in the background for a bunch of months now on accommodating refugee children into Pennsylvania schools. That is, some kids are coming across the southern border. The question is, should they receive some sort of an education in United States schools? If the answer is yes, then how do we go ahead and do that? I mean, it's a tangled web of politics and money, transportation, and legal matters, and on and on and on. So when you brush away all those difficult spider webs, you still have a kid who might need an education. And so the question is, what, if anything, can be done? Next, we're waiting for a report on Sunrise, so we'll give that when we get a chance. And then we had a football game against Woodland Hills against Pine Ridgeland Friday. I invited the Woodland Hills swimming coach to come and just sit there and watch the game with me. He cheered for Woodland Hills, of course. But we also got to talk a little bit about sports between the different schools in the area and how we could help one coach or one team, one school, help each other share some of the resources or some of the needs. So they have a need for a diving coach out at Woodland Hills right now. I'm a diving coach, and we're trying to put together a way for us to work, so that some of their divers who don't have a coach can benefit from ours. And that should be multiplied throughout every need that our local neighbors have in schools. That's one of the big uses that we can and should have with respect to that press box. So along with that, I chatted with the Woodland Hills Assistant Athletic Director and a principal there, as did Susan and some of the other board members. In other words, we took time to meet with some of the other leaders from the area and ask the question, how can we help you? How can you help us?
Yes, Mr. Ritter did ask the Woodland Hills School Board, one of the representatives, what we can do to help them. So it was good camaraderie, it was.
And so that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ritter. How about Ms. Cerrucci? Do you have something?
Well, I don't, it sounds like you might be having a hard time hearing me, so is that true?
Yes, it is.
No, he's just saying that. You sound good.
You?
I can't hear a thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was amusing that I want to tell Dr. Shaky and Dr. Rossi that my son got to participate in the roundtable discussion you guys did, and he really enjoyed it. And one of the most important things that he felt needed to change was the school lunch is not enough food for a senior. So I think we need to bring back more food and big cookies, Dr. Shorts.
Big cookies.
Big cookies.
The number one seller, and unfortunately that went away with some political activism.
Oh, wow.
Cookies.
Well, it seems like everything's political today, but I would encourage everybody to put politics aside and enjoy Thanksgiving, because everybody should be able to find something to be thankful for. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. God bless your time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Cerrucci.
Do we need a motion to bring back the cookies?
Motion to bring back the cookies.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All right, Martin.
Aye.
All right, cookies are back. I have two quick things. Mr. Dice reminded me that last week there was a wonderful presentation about a mountain bike trail around the school. That I was driving, it was in and out, so do we need to do something? Is this time sensitive, or where are we?
We would present a motion, resolution for that next month.
Okay.
I still want to walk the area. I still want to be able to speak with
You're
Mr.
not
Brown.
walking the area. That's my
No, not in this way.
Mike, do that drone thing. So
Drone thing.
and see what it looks like. We'll go out there, we'll fall
And then-
down, we'll be killed.
Boundaries as far as lines or property.
Very good. All right, so work on that. Dr. Singh, you understand that that motion was just tabled, so Diwali will be discussed again and voted on again, right? You got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I told you I'm not losing sleep. I had my lunch.
I saw you were already dozed off, so I appreciate that.
I need to call an executive session. Sir, real
We
quick.
apparently are going to be adjourning to executive session to not return. And the subject is?
Just general.
General.
Hey, I mean general, what is the subject?
I can't,
Personnel.
what did you say?
It has to fit in.
I don't know what you're pointing at.
Can you give us is it a personnel issue? Is it a litigation issue? Is it a land issue? Is it, what is
Security.
security? That's a.
Very good.
Don Hall was just able to weigh in on the Zoom chat, and he says the swimming and diving assistant positions are $3,690 for each position for 23.
I thought he said for both positions.
John just said for each position.
We will take a look and have it on.
It is each.
Okay, good enough. Thank you, John. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No, we're recessing. Making a motion to recess into executive session
And we're
for
done.
safety.
And will we be coming back?
No,
No, we will not.
no. We don't have
All in
any.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Go to the bathroom.
That means,
Get out.
thank you, ma'am.
We're done.